Hey, welcome back. Tools with Tools, Kurt Schernickoff. Just gonna do a TV mount today. And not only the TV mount, so we can put it up on the wall, but also put what they call a power box. So that means we'll cut a hole in the wall, actually drop a cord down through the wall and come out, and then make it so we don't have any wires hanging on the wall. It's actually a pretty cool device, and all Amazon based, so it's kind of cool. And let me get started here real quick. We'll get this up and running. So one of the first things we need to do is find the studs, because we're going to have to put at least a couple of screws into studs to be able to hold up that TV. That's going to carry most of the weight. And then we'll put a couple of other types of brackets in there to make sure that they're going to hold up too. But we want to find the studs first. So what am I going to use? It's the Stud Buddy. If you watched any of my other videos, you'll see that I love this tool. So let's go ahead and figure out now where, oh, look there, right there. So we found our stud. That was pretty quick, wasn't it? And this home actually is interior walls are 2 foot on center for any of the studs. So I know then here, and if I go over 2 feet this way or 2 feet that way, then it's going to be there. Now, most homes are probably built with 16 inches on center. So that would mean that our next stud would be 16 inches over instead. But in these builds, and this is pretty common anymore, is that interior walls will actually be 24 inches, which is 2 feet. So a nice, interesting little fact to do, especially if you're hanging pictures or anything like that. Makes it so you can actually find it. So we found this one, and then we know then we'll go 2 foot this way or 2 foot this way. So we're going to actually cut a hole in the wall for our power box. And then we don't want to cut it into where the stud is, so we will put it away from where the stud is, and then we can drop the wire down, and then we can have the exit point come out, in which you'll see all those things. But then we also want to put the bracket up though to hold the TV, and we'll put one of those screws set right here on that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I want to center this TV in this room. So what I'm going to do is I need to figure out then what is the width of this room here. So we are actually at 11 feet and 11 inches. So let's see what our stud is in the middle here, because we want to try and find the center point to be able to hang the TV. And actually this is at 5 foot 11 and a half. That is about as close to center as we could possibly get. So we'll go ahead and use this as the center then to be able to line our TV up. So that'll be perfect. So we can put our bracket then, we can center the bracket in the room and then center the TV then too on the bracket. So that makes it very, very easy to do. So we don't have to do a whole lot of messing around with measurements too much. So, okay, let's get going. So let me show you what our pieces and parts are here. This is the template and that comes with it. So we're going to actually put it in. So this is actually going to be our center right there. But then you can use your template to be able to put your drill holes in the places so you know exactly where it's going to be, because then this is the actual mount itself that'll go up there. So then we can make sure that that's going to be exactly where we need it. And so we'll use the template though first to drill the holes into the wall and get our screws in the proper places. Okay. Now, the other part, and this is the cool one, is that this is that wall box. We are not going to put it here because the stud's right here. We will put it then over in this area someplace, but we want to measure what the center of the TV is and how far out this bracket goes, and then we will put it then so it's not going to show on the outside of the TV, and it's not going to impede what we have with the bracket then that's going to be on here. So we don't want to, so if you look at it like this, we will probably have it sitting somewhat like this, in this area, but then we want to make sure that we're not showing it out on the wall. We want it to be hidden, okay? So that's the key behind how we go ahead and put this into the wall and make it so it's going to be there. Now, we also have a small box that we're going to put down here that is actually like, it looks like an outlet, but then what's going to happen is that we'll put this over that, and then we will feed then any of the wires that come through the top down through here. And then it hides everything very well. And it's a very well-made product. And once again, it's on our website. So at www.tools, T-O-O-L-Z, with W-I-T-H, tools, T-O-O-L-S.com. And then look down into where our tools are and the things that we actually have on Amazon. Go to the Amazon, just click on the link and then go to the Amazon page, and then you can actually buy them there. So it makes it real simple for you. But these are my favorite ones to use. I've put, I've used them in several homes now, and I've mounted probably about 8 TVs. Love this product. So now we have to put the brackets on the back of the TV to make sure that they're upright. So I've got the bracket. These screws are they tighten from the bottom. They actually go down towards the bottom. But I determined that these were the screws that I needed because there's a whole package of screws here, and it's a universal package for the TV. But so there's 4 screws then, and then I just go ahead and I put them in and put the bracket in, tighten it up, and then it's all ready to go. I like to use a washer on them too, because so what it does is it makes it so the screw head's going to be larger, right? So if you see, here's the screw head side, but then with the washer it makes it larger. So it makes it, so it's going to hold it better in place. So got those in place now. I like to measure the TV fitting onto the wall by actually I'll set the I see where the bracket's going to go, which we've determined where the bracket is going to go on the wall. And then I will determine how high or low I want to do this. Typically, I like to put the bracket where it's going to be as far down on the bottom as it's going to be possible. And then I think that makes it so it's easier then to adjust and put it into the place you want it. So my personal opinion, you guys can do it any way you like. Okay, the next part is we're going to put up the bracket. So now with the template, and I find this is the easiest way to do it because this can be a little tricky, and I want to make sure that I get this level. So what I do is I find that center. So I found the center of the stud, and I determined that I'm going to put this at about this was the level that I decided that I wanted to go to. So I'm going to put it about right here. Now, I'm only going to do one hole first, and here's why. I will then make it so then this is going to be level. So I put that mark on there first to make sure that I've got it in place, and then I like to do this. So then I can hold it against the wall. Here we go. And then if you put your level on the mark here, on that hole, now I've got on the level, I've got it perfect on the bubble. Okay, so the bubble is right in between, and I've got my mark here, so that's perfect. And then I'm going to mark this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark these outside ones here. Okay. So then what I've got here, so you understand, I've got lag screws that are going to go in the middle. Those actually go into the stud. So those are the main ones that are holding it. Then what I have from there is I'm going to use then I'm going to use 4, Let me grab those real quick. They're right over here. Of these drywall anchors. And these anchors then, they will hold up to 79 pounds, which if you distribute 4 of them, that's going to be quite a bit of weight it can hold. But these are carrying the majority of the weight. So what we'll do then is we will put 1 of these in each of these spots, and the 2 lag bolts, which are going to be the main holders, in here. Okay, so what I like to do though is I like to drill pilot holes first with a drill, and that way then it's going to be easy to go ahead and get everything then screwed into the wall and make it so it's going to be much easier. Now, if you've watched my videos before, when I make a determination of what size I'm going to use, I like to go ahead and compare on the actual screw to the drill bit. Now, I want the drill bit to be just a little bit smaller than what the screw is. If you make it too large, then it's going to just slip in and it won't hold anything. So if you use the drill bit that's just a little bit smaller than the actual screw itself, then it makes it so it's going to actually then adhere to the wood much better. All right, that's one of the tips I like on that. Now, on this one, I like to go ahead and I will drill. It's going to be a pilot hole basically, because this kind of is a self-tapping screw, or self-tapping wall mount. So I will use probably then the same bit that I'm going to use for the pilot holes for the lag screws. And once again, they don't have to be the exact size, because this is just going into drywall and it's going to hold. Okay, so the main ones, the lag screws. These are going to be the outside holders that are just going to make sure that there's some extra weight being held with that bracket. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drill those holes. Here's the first one. And then we can see wood. That's good. That means it went into the 2x4. Same there. Got some wood there. That's perfect. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and drill pilot holes, and these, as you can tell, they go straight into the drywall very easily. So there's nothing behind it. Open space. Okay. Now, got that one set. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to use a ratchet bit. These are great, by the way. So this actually takes a ratchet that I would use then from my wrenches, and I put it onto my drill bit. Makes it so it's a lot easier then, and I can just drill it straight in with the drill instead. I'm going to do it real quick here. So I've kind of piloted it. I don't put it all the way in, but I just get it so it's going to be started, so that way it's going to go in easier, okay? Then I will go ahead and put these in, and here's an easy way to do these too, because there's actually a Phillips head thread on that. So what you can do is take your Phillips head bit on your screwdriver, and it fits right on there. So look at this. Tied up against the wall. Perfect. Okay, I've got 3 more of them, so I'll do this. Start. There we go. Don't do too fast. It'll eat right into the drywall. You don't want that to happen. So there we go. Got it. Okay. So now I've got my kind of holder brackets on the outside ready that are going to be, so they don't mess up the drywall. And then this is, so they could actually probably hold this TV with the weight distribution of those. But I'm going to use the lag bolts here, and then I will go ahead and put those up. Okay, so we're switching over now back to the wrench. And here's what I'm going to do. So I will go ahead, maybe not put that in my mouth, that's probably not a good idea. So I'll go ahead and start this right here. So we're going into the center. So I put it into the center hole there. And then what I'm going to do is start it like this. So now then, I have it started. Okay, there we go. And then, let's go ahead and grab another one. Another screw. And I'm going to go ahead. Now, one thing I'm not going to do here is I'm not going to put it all the way in because I want to make sure that I get these outside screws fit properly, okay? So now we've got the main bracket up, so that's good. But now let's go ahead and put our Phillips head screwdriver back in, and we're going to put some Phillips head screws in instead, and I will go ahead and grab those. So I've got my 4 screws that are going to go in here, and I'm also going to do washers again, just as I'd said before, because these then, to make sure that they fit properly. So I got one here. Now I'll just pop them in here real quick. So I got, and these are 1 5/8" screws, which should be plenty of size for what the actual bracket is necessary for. Because those, once again, those lag screws are, I think they're 2.5 inches. So they actually hold quite a bit. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and screw this in. Now, one of the things that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to tighten it up yet, and I need my level. So I will tighten it up though once I have my level up here. So I'm going to put my level on the wall, on the bracket itself, and let's make sure that we're in the right spot. Okay, looks like we got it right there. I'm going to tighten one. Make sure it's still good. Okay, so I got 2 of those screws in there, and I'm going to go ahead and do these other 2 real quick. Make sure I'm still on level. Looks like I am. Okay, 1. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back to my wrench driver here, and let's tighten up those. So now the lag bolts are in. Everything's still level. Perfect. Good. Okay. Now we've got our, so now we've actually got the TV up, or the bracket up for the TV. Okay. You can pull a lot of weight on that now. That's great. Okay, so that's set. At this point, we can go ahead, and if we want to set the TV on there, which we're going to, I want to then see where I'm going to place, cut the hole for this box, okay? Because the box is going to go either here, 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 depending on where we want to have it. But I'm going to put the TV up so we can take a look at it, okay? Let's take this out of the package, all right? And we'll kind of look at we got here, because this is kind of a cool thing. If you notice, it's got a wire wrap around the... But this, when we cut the hole in the wall, this acts like an extension cord then, and it actually drops down through, and then we'll pull it out through the hole down the bottom. It's kind of cool, all right? So let's grab that TV. Here we go. All right, we got the TV. And here we go. So we want to get this set right. Okay. And okay. We got our TV up. kind of center it there a little bit. Looks pretty good. See, and so it actually has this has the ability to twist and move all around. It's got it can push out, so it's really kind of a cool bracket. Okay, so you can angle it and do stuff. I'll show you all that when we get it done. But now we've got the TV up, so this gives us the opportunity to figure out where we want to put the bracket. So make sure, remember, we want to hide the bracket. And one of the things too, here we go. We got the bracket. We'll put it up here. Let me grab the camera here so you can see this a little bit better. Here we go. Let's zoom in on what we got going on behind here. Woo! We'll shrink down our stand. So now what we got back here, if you look, we've got our electrical connection is right on this side, okay? Now, if you look then at the TV itself, is there any other connections or anything that you're going to be using back here? Because if there are, you need to make sure you're putting them in the right spot. So what I mean that by putting them in the right spot, and let's look at this. Here we go. These are all of those connections. So we don't want to cover anything, right? So in this case, we want to be as close as we can to the outlet that we're going to plug into, which, if we look over here, here's our outlet. And if we kind of pan back here on this, so there's our outlet over there. There's our TV up here, right? Obviously, and there's that cable. So what we're going to do is we are going to put the connection down here for the TV. We're going to cut the other hole for the outlet down here, and we're going to cut the hole then up here behind the TV for the electrical box, okay? So there's how we're going to do that. So let me go ahead and I will start doing some cutting, measuring, and get that together. So now we're going to cut the hole in here, and this comes with a template too, which is great, okay? Because then I can just draw around the edge of this, and then I can figure out where I want to put it. So we determined that the TV is here, so we're going to put our box. Let's cut over here. I'm going to actually raise it a little bit in case we ever want to maybe raise the TV up a little higher potentially. So I'm going to put it up here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and use the template. Now, make sure that you're far enough away from the bracket, because if you're too close, there's about a 1/2 inch gap there of the outside of the shielding on that bracket, or I'm sorry, not on the bracket, on the outlet. So here, then, okay, so there's our hole that we're going to cut. What I was talking about there is that there's a little bit of a lip here, and you want to make sure that there's enough lip that you're not touching this and it gets in the way, because you'll end up messing up your cut, and then it's going to be causing a little bit of a problem. So there we go. I'm going to cut that hole out, and then we'll do the same thing and cut again down at the bottom for the other one. So let me grab the saw and we'll get that together. One thing that I love about this company it's Echo Gear. They actually give you a saw too, so you don't have to go buy an additional tool. Now I've got like 8 of them, right? Because I put so many of them up. But they're great because then if you're putting this up and it's a one-time shot, you don't have to buy the tool, which is great, because this is probably a $15 tool. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead. One of the nice things about about drywall saws is that these little drywall saws is that they've got a really sharp point on them. And then so what it does is it'll actually pierce into the drywall and cut into it. So if you just start it like this and just tap it in, it'll just go in, okay? Makes it real simple to cut. Just follow the line. Okay, there's one side. And do it again. And across the top. Follow that line. It's drywall, so if you never cut drywall before, it's super easy. I'm making a mess everywhere, right? So make sure you got a good vacuum. Cut. Okay. One more cut. And there we go. We got a hole, right? So it's going to be in the wall there. Okay. Perfect. I can take my, then I'll be able to just slide that in there. Now these are kind of cool. So look at this. These then are what actually, these little metal things, hold on to the drywall. So what happens is that they screw in and they cinch themselves up to the drywall, and then that's what holds it in place. So it's a very, very nice little setup they've got here. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that set up, and now I'm ready to go ahead and cut the hole. And once again, I've used my stud buddy to make sure that I know where it is. So it is 2 feet. That was 2 feet on center. So I know that this is an open hole that goes down here. What you don't want to do is you don't want to put this hole over here, so because you can't drop the electrical wire down through and go through the stud, okay? The idea here then is that we will put this down in here, in this area right here. I think this is probably a good spot. And then the wire will feed down through, and then I can pull it out through here. And then I will connect it, and I will then actually plug it into that outlet there. Okay, so there's kind of the magic behind hiding some wires in the wall. But also, it's then any of the other types of wires that you're going to have. So there's HDMI cables, there's speaker wires, there's things like that. Cable TV cables can all go through there. So you can then do it very simply. But that's why we're going to put this down here, so we can drop all those wires through and it'll come through. I will go ahead then and let's measure this up and get it. Here we go. So what I do, I'll put it up here backwards, and let me grab my tape measure, because I like to make sure that I'm about the same height as this other outlet is. And this other outlet to the floor is at about 13 to 13 and a half inches. So I'm going to drop this here about 13 to 13 and a half inches. Let's go, we'll split it in half, right? 13 and a quarter, okay? There we go. I put the box up here backwards, actually. Here's the key. You got to cut around, you're going to cut so it leaves this lip. So you don't want to get more cut than this lip. So you need to make it so this little box piece is going to fit in there, but it doesn't go past there. So we need to make sure we are pretty accurate then on where we're actually putting this. So I'm what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make, and there's a little indentation on each side here. and on the top and bottom. And I'm going, whoops. So then I'm going to use it like that. Okay, so what now is that I know that this lip is going to be able to stay on the outside. I will go ahead though, and I'm going to make sure that this is pretty decent plumb. So I use my plumb mark here, and I'm going to go like that. And do the same thing over here then, same thing. We're plumb, so we'll go like that. And the only reason I'm keeping this square is that if you don't, it's gonna look really bad. It'll look the box will look, so it'll be kind of cattywampus, and you don't want that. You don't want it to look all out of sorts. So, get it like that, there we go. So now, I've got it marked up. There we go. So, now here's a trick that you can do too. You can use a utility knife, and you can cut the paper first. And I kind of follow the line here, cut the paper. Just be real steady and stop. Be real steady and stop. Once again, real steady and stop. Okay. So now I've kind of pre-cut the paper. So then with my saw, it's not going to be quite as jagged and angled. Now, is that a problem? No, because you hide it anyway. And if you look at new construction, they use power tools now to do the cutting. So I'm going to go ahead. Okay, got that. Got one. Put it on this other side. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use my utility knife and cut the rest of that out. There we go. Now we've got that. So at this point, I can actually put this in here. And take my drill. Ouch. There we go. And see what it does is that it pulls it tight. Woo! Oh, hold on. A little bit too much there. Slow down, buddy. Okay. What a ding-dong, huh? There we go. That's nice and snug there. Okay. Tighten that up just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So now we've got the box in. So it's a wide open box, so it has no back on it, so that way we can actually pull the wires through easier. Okay. So let's go ahead and drop this through. So we drop the electrical box through, or the electrical wire through. So I drop this down in through here, and I can reach in there and pull it. Okay. Now, I also have, sorry while I run across the room, I've also got HDMI cables that I want to make sure I run through there too. I got 3 of them. These are, once again, these are from Amazon also, and these are actually from Cable Matters. Great cables. I love these, and they're inexpensive once again, but I love them because they're color coded. And it makes it easy then so you don't have to guess what each drive is. Because sometimes we don't always know. It's like, well, one is going to go to the Blu-ray player, one's going to go to maybe a cable box. You know, you may have a stereo system or something that you're connecting it to, so want to make sure that you've got them marked right. So we take all the wiring off of here, or all the, go. Get these all off. Okay. Now, to make it easy on myself, I'm going to pull them out here. Whoa, don't do that. Heaven's sakes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stretch these cables out. These are 10-foot cables, by the way, just in case, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to put over here yet. I have not figured that out. So what I do to kind of save myself is I will go ahead and run these through here ahead of time. Okay. So I've got, then I just leave a portion hanging there. I've got I've got the electrical wire in the wall. Oops, here we go. Make sure you guys can see this. Sorry about that. So we got the electrical wire in the wall. We've got the cables there, the HDMI cables, and I'm going to pull these, just drop these down into here. Now what I can do is I can reach inside and hopefully be able to pull all these cables through. So I got 1, 2, and there's 1. Got another trick for you if you can't find it, is you take a coat hanger and you use the end of the coat hanger, and that'll help you out too if you can pull that wire in there. Okay, so let me drop that down there a little bit more, and lo and behold, we found the electrical wire. Okay, so I'll lift it up just a little bit. There we go. Pull this through. And voila. All right, so we've got our HDMI cables, we got our electrical wire, we got them all through here, we got them through this one. So now this, we can see, this can be put in to position. Make sure that those 2 little bracket pieces, well, and Kurt, you got to put it in the right way. So don't put it in upside down. What a ding dong, huh? Okay, so there we go. Got that there. And let's take our drill, kind of square this thing up here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and got one of them. I'm going to do this. Catty corner them like that. 1, 2. 3, 4. Now, there we go. It's nice and tight now. I got wires up here. I got wires down there. And the next step here is to actually put in, well, now where'd it go? We have lost our piece. So what we'll do, there we go. Sorry about that. We've got our extension cable that goes across there, and then we've got this piece that we can actually show you how this works. Oh, look at that. You guys are way up there. Hey, let me drop you down. Woo! There we go. Make sure you can see what we're doing. All right. Let's zoom in a little bit here. There we go. All right. So, now, we got this piece here. This actually goes into behind there like that. So the key here is that we pull these through the big open space in the bottom, right? There we go. And then this, actually it has this protector on it. This one, oh, ding dong, wrong side. The big open space, this one's like a mouth, sorry about that. So you run these through, so you run them through here. And I got these cables then through. And then, you know, if there's any speaker wires or anything, then too, you can pull those all also through there. There we go. Okay, so those are in. Now, we will also put in then, no, push that back in there a little bit more. This fits into here, and it slides right in. Like that. Now, you then take this piece, this is the back, another back part of it, and it plugs in then, and it pushes against it all. And then it kind of snaps, which is great. Then, taking these other screws that I've got, there's two that are fine threads. Those are for the outlet on the outside. Then there's two coarse ones that are for the inside that hold this bracket piece together here. So put the two bracket pieces on, and I'm going to go ahead and screw those in. And what that does is that secures the electrical outlet. Okay, so now the electrical piece is nice and tight. Okay, and then I can push this all up into here, and we can either put it we can either put it this way or that way. I'll go ahead and do it this way. Kind of push everything upward. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put the electrical outlet's going to be on the bottom, and then the other wires are going to be on the top. And then we're going to take these other two little screws, and there's two other screws here. Here they go. There we are. Oop. Got them right here. These are those fine threaded ones. And the fine threaded ones go in this open space. So we'll go ahead and screw in these screws now to the wall outlet, just like this. There we go. One, and we got the other one right here like that. So now we've got our HDMI cables coming through. We've got the plug that's right there, so we can plug this in. But we'll go ahead now, let's put the faceplate on. And we'll put this right here. I got my screwdriver. And let's go ahead and screw that faceplate in there. Alrighty, there's one. And we got one more screw. And there we go, nice and straight. Okay, now the last thing we have to do is, if you take a look here, we'll plug this in to here, and then the nice part is that we just plug it into the wall right over here on the wall outlet. So now we've got this plug that's actually going to the outlet, and if you look up here, we've got now the outlet here, and it's plugged in then to the back of the TV, and the TV's plugged into here. So see, we've got the plug right here, outlet. The new wire goes down the wall, comes out here, and at this point then, you see we've got the hidden wire in the wall. TV is mounted, and it's all absolutely perfect. So there we go, folks. So thank you very much. Another episode of Tools with Tools, And remember, go to our website, which is www.toolswithtools.com, Tools with Tools, and take a look at our stuff, our videos, like us, follow us, and then put in a request. If there's something that you want to see, some kind of a new video that you'd like to see and have us do something for you, DIY project, go ahead and put it up, post it up for us on the website, and we'll be happy to do it. Have a great day.